Right, so today I'm going to be taking a look at a set of RockShox ZEB Ultimate forks. This is a 2023 version. As you can see, it just comes in this brown box with the RockShox logos on. Let's get inside and take a look at the details. It just undoes with this flap. Right, so we've got a star nut. And it looks like we've just got some paperwork. Then you've got a RockShox sticker. You've got some bottomless tokens. I'm sure you're familiar with these. This is a 170mm fork. I believe there's one installed stock, and you can run a maximum of 4, so you'd have to buy another one if you wanted to fully max it out. I don't think I'll need to, but just to let you know. And then these are actually guides for the end caps or for the axle. I'll show you them in a minute. For some reason I've got 3 here and only 2 screws, so I don't know if they're just giving you one spare. But anyway, that's what's in that. Then you've got a mud guard. This is just the single piece one. It has some black screws in there. They used to be silver, so it's nice that they've changed them to black. This is just the one that comes out of the back. I wish they did one like the Boxer, where it actually comes out the front as well, just to help with extra mud. Similar to the Fox one that they use on the 38, where they do the standard one and then they do an extra large one, just because this probably isn't going to give the best protection. Also, it's the way it actually fits, it's actually going to sit against the fork, and the brace is still going to be exposed, so it could be prone to damage. So ideally, if it just had a complete piece that went through, would be great. And then onto the forks themselves. As you can see, I've got them in the grey colour. I think it looks much nicer than the black, but everyone's got their own personal preference. So let's zoom in a bit and take a look at the details on it. Right, I'm going to start on the bottom. I'm going to start on the right hand side. So on the right leg at the bottom, you've got the rebound adjuster. I should get that to focus. There you go. So you've got the faster or slower, and it's nice solid clicks on it, and it's a knurled pattern on this, so it's nice and easy to move. Ideally, I wish it had a cover over, just to add a little bit of protection, because I'd assume you're going to get some mud and water ingress into here, which may affect the ball bearing and the movement on it, but we'll see how it goes. Also, it would be nice for that to be protected a bit more. You've got a little buttercup logo, which is the new elastomers, which are at the bottom of each leg to aid with vibration. Let's see how they hold up, because if anyone's been riding bikes long enough, they'll know about the horrors of elastomers. Let's hope that they've managed to improve the formulas. And then here's the maxle. This is one that you need the tool for. I do miss the quick release ones. I know they don't look as tidy, but they're much easier when you're riding, rather than having to get a tool out to do them. So this is the section where you would run the torque caps. As you can see, there's a little hole here for the screw to put the little guide in. Now, if you weren't running torque caps on the previous versions of these forks, it used to be a bit of a nightmare to try and get the axle lined up. So here's a torque cap, for example, and it fits in perfectly, and it's nice and easy to install. But if you've got a standard 15mm, you would doing this, trying to get it lined up. So I'll just screw one of these guides in and show you it. So all you need to do is just place the little plastic guide in, and then just drop the screw in. This uses a 2.5mm Allen to tighten up. And once that's in place, you just get your 15mm hub, and it just lines up, slots in. It's much easier. I'm probably going to be using torque caps, but it's nice that they include this now if you're just running standard 15mm hubs. So moving further up, you've got the ZEB logo, the RockShox logo, and then the Ultimate logo. I'm going to be putting some custom decals that I got from Invisiframe. Nathan did them for me, so I'll be putting them on once I put the full bike build up. Then you move up, it's got the 38mm stanchion. And this is the bleeder ports. So you've got one on each leg. It comes with this little rubber protection for shipping. And then you just push these down to release the air from the lowers, which can accumulate when you're riding at altitude, or just in the general use of the fork, air can get trapped in the lowers. You just press that to release the air to balance the fork out. You will find a little bit of oil seeps out of these when you're using them. It's quite normal. That's why I say I might keep the little rubber protection piece on when I'm riding them, just to help keep them a bit cleaner. And on the back side of the fork, you've got a little sticker which shows you the offset, the travel, and then the wheel size. So here we are at the top with the Charger 3 dials. So you've got the high and low speed compression here. And a really good feature on this is it has a set mark. So let's take the high speed for example. It's set currently in the middle, but if you wanted to add some, you just turn it just plus, and you can see your 1 click on or 2 clicks on, and you know exactly where you are. And if you want to take some off, same thing. And you can see visually straight away where you are. And then the same for the low speed, as a set point here, and then you can either take some off or you can add some. So really good feature. I'm surprised no one else has thought of it before. You don't have to sit there and guess how many clicks you've got on, you can actually visually see it. And with the Charger 3, what they've done is they've added an IFP backed by a coil spring at the top to aid with the control of the damper. And then to the left side, you've just got a Buttercup logo again, and then the nut which holds the lowers on. The one thing I like about the RockShox is they're really easy to service. I've predominantly gone for these because I just like working on them better than, say, Fox, for example, which you tend to have to be a little bit more precise and get the correct tools for. And sometimes, you know, mistakes are made. I just find RockShox stuff is easier to work on. Then you've got the post mount for the brake. I believe this takes a 200mm standard. And then on the inside, you've got the little chart here for the air pressures. It's always handy that it's on the fork. And on the front here, you've got the hose guide. This is a metal piece, which I think is much better than the plastic ones, which tend to get a little bit warped over time, especially with the tension of the brake and if you're bleeding them. And they just tend to crack when you're putting the screws into them. So it's nice that they've got a metal piece on here. Just uses a 2.5mm Allen key. And moving up to the stanchion on this side. So in the past, they used to have sag indicators on their stanchion, which was really helpful, but they were obviously having issues with it where the fork was actually sitting lower and it looked like you were losing travel. So what they've done is they've just got rid of that, and then they've just put a max travel indicator at the top, and obviously kept the Debonair logo. The air spring in this is basically a copy of the RockShoxSuspension luft cap. The previous version of this fork had a terrible air spring in it, and this one is much better that's in this. It's basically a gold one with a big air piston on the top. As I say, it's almost an exact copy of the RockShoxSuspension luft cap, which I've actually ridden in the previous version and makes a huge difference in the terms of performance on the fork. At the top here, you've got the air valve cover, so that just comes off. It's a nice low profile one as well. Reveals the Schrader valve, and then as you can see, it has the splines there for fitting a lock ring tool. You just pop that in, and you can undo that and then fit your bottomless tokens or add some oil in. I just wanted to quickly talk about the bushings that are in this fork. So one of the benefits of going with the Ultimate fork is that the lower bushings are extended, so it gives them more material, so just more overlap on the fork. The previous version of this fork, the first generation, had some issues with bushing play. How that tends to manifest when you're actually using the fork is the bushing will have a slight amount of play, which will mean that the stanchions don't go in straight, which means you can get a sort of oddly disconnected feeling in the fork. So what they've done with these is, say, they've made the lower ones extended, which means that you've got more material. I wish they would have put this in all of the forks. I'm not sure why just the Ultimate needs to have it. I think it should be in all of the forks. I say I've had the previous generation of this fork, and I did have bushing play on it, and it's just an annoyance that really shouldn't be there. Hopefully the extended bushes should help mitigate the problem. I just wanted to quickly talk about the lubes and oil that this fork uses. So RockShox recommend that you do a lower leg service every 50 hours, and you're going to need two different versions of their Maxima Plush dynamic suspension lube. So you've got a light version and a heavy version. The light version goes in the lowers and the heavy version goes in the upper. And then you need some SRAM butter or equivalent. You can use slick honey or whatever you have to hand. But it's really straightforward, and as I said, I really prefer working on RockShox forks. You don't need any specialist tools to get into them to do the lower leg service. Takes about half an hour to do it. So this was a look at the RockShox ZEB Ultimate fork. I'm going to be installing this fork onto my Pivot Firebird frame, so if you're interested in that, I'll be doing that in an upcoming video. But if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the box below. And if you got this far into the video, I do appreciate it, and thanks for watching.